In this tutorial, we'll walk through scheduling options in OptiSigns. If you're not familiar with the OptiSigns platform, we highly recommend watching the Getting Started with OptiSigns video available in the OptiSigns 101 playlist on YouTube. That video guide has instructions on how to pair screens to your account, which we won't cover here. The first option we'll review is creating a schedule and assigning it to your paired screen or screens. We'll go to the Schedules tab. If you are creating your first schedule, this calendar will be blank. I have a sample calendar already created here, but we'll create a new one. You can create multiple schedules that can be used to display content across a variety of screens and locations. To create a new schedule, just click Create Schedule. We'll name this Demo Schedule. Once you click outside the name field or hit Enter, the name will autosave. If you've used Outlook or Google Calendars, you'll notice similar functionalities here. You can click and drag to create time blocks. You can assign these time blocks to play content from your assets or playlists. For a more detailed look at assets and playlists, we have guides for both in the OptiSigns 101 playlist on YouTube. I'll click and drag to create a time block from 6 to 9 a.m. Once you've created a time block, you can specify the time down to the minute within this menu. The repeat options allow you to easily create multiple occurrences of this time block as needed. There are even custom occurrences that allow you to fine-tune when you need the schedule block to reoccur. The next thing we need to select is the content type. We have the option of selecting a single asset or a playlist that can be comprised of multiple assets. For this example, I'll choose a single asset. I'll select this web asset to play and save. Now my calendar shows the web asset is scheduled to play during the time block I created. Now I can assign this demo schedule to my screen. You can do that right from this page by clicking Push to Screen. When you target by screens and then click in the Screens field, all of the paired screens from your account will appear in this drop-down menu. For this example, I have one test screen paired, but you can select multiple screens here if you have more than one pair to your account. I'll select my demo screen, click Push, and now the content from the demo schedule will display on my screen immediately. An important feature within schedules is default content. Default content will play on your screen between blocks of scheduled content. You can set default content at the account level by clicking the wrench icon and selecting an asset or a playlist. I'll select the weather app I've already created and save. Now, when there are no scheduled blocks of content, my screens will fall back to displaying the current weather. Default content set at the account level will apply to all of my schedules. We can also create default content for each schedule, which can override the default content I've created at the account level. To set default content within the schedule, click the gear icon. You'll see it set to use my account default, but I can pick something else. Just select the desired asset or playlist and click Save. If you're wondering why I chose the weather again as the default content for my schedule when it's already set to the default content at the account level, that's because in these examples, we're just using the weather app as a placeholder asset. You can include whatever you need. We're just trying to get you familiar with the concepts of the workflow within OptiSigns. The next option for scheduling content is at the asset level, in which we can set a live expire schedule for a single piece of time-sensitive content. To do this, we'll go to the Files and Assets tab. I have a raffle graphic that I only want to display during the raffle promotion dates. I'll click the three dots on the top right of the asset and select Set Asset to Live Expire. Now I can choose when this piece of content will be active. I'll change this from Live Immediately to Live At, so I can choose a day or time in the future for this to start. I'll select this to start February 1st at 12 a.m. This raffle runs for 1 day, so I'll select February 2nd and click Apply. Double check your time zone in the event you are scheduling content for screens across different time zones. A very useful option for reducing clutter in your assets is to set the asset to delete itself after the promotion expires by checking the Delete option box. I'll click Save, and now I can see that the status of this asset is expired as we have not yet reached the activation date. Now I'll use this asset in a playlist. A playlist is a collection of rotating assets that will continuously loop. To create a playlist, just go to the Playlist tab and click Create Playlist. On the right side of the playlist page, I can view and choose content from my asset library, including the raffle flyer. I'll drag in the raffle flyer as well as some other content. Again, we'll use our weather app as a placeholder. You'll see an alert on screen that this playlist includes expired content. That's, of course, our flyer asset that hasn't gone live yet. This is an important principle to remember because if you include an expired asset in a playlist and then push it to a screen, or include the playlist in a schedule that is pushed to a screen, the expired asset will not be displayed until it goes live and will stop displaying once the expiration date and time have been reached. In short, setting the live expire date at the asset level supersedes any other command to push it to a screen. This can be very helpful for including seasonal assets within a year-round playlist that will only go live during the times you need them to. Let's walk through another type of scheduling using playlists called playlist item scheduling. Playlist item scheduling allows you to create a schedule for individual items contained in a playlist. Let's create a new playlist and drag in this breakfast menu. I'll click the gear icon on the asset inside the playlist to bring up the asset options and go to the Item Schedule field. I'll click in the field and create a new schedule. Since this asset is a breakfast menu, I'll set a schedule for the morning, 6 to 11 a.m., and then click Apply. I didn't edit the dates because I want this to repeat daily as specified in my repeat field. Let's make sure we give it a name. That looks good, so we'll save the item schedule and then save my asset options. The difference between setting a schedule as an item inside a playlist versus setting it at the asset level, like our previous example, is playlist item scheduling has to be done each time you drag an asset into a playlist, versus the asset live expire, which only has to be done one time. The reason you would choose playlist item scheduling would be if you have an asset that needs to be displayed at different times in different playlists. You would want to set that at the asset level. The last example of scheduling we'll cover in this guide is scheduling from the Push to Screens menu. You can do this from either an asset or playlist. For this example, I'll go to Files and Assets and select a piece of content to push to screens. Again, I'll use my trusty weather app as a placeholder for whatever content you'd want to use. I'll click the three dots and push to screens. Once I select my screen, I can choose a temporary takeover, which will immediately preempt all other content on the screen, or select Schedule Changes. Schedule Changes will allow me to choose when this content will display on this screen. I'll choose my start and end dates, choose what I want to happen after the schedule expires. I'll let it play the last content, and click Schedule. Now when I go back to the Screens page, I can see the demo schedule is still assigned to the screen, along with the upcoming schedule change, when that change will take effect, and when it will end. And since I selected to display the last content, when my schedule change ends, it will go back to displaying the demo schedule. That's it for our walkthrough of scheduling content in OptiSigns. If you'd like to learn more about OptiSigns, you can subscribe to the channel or contact our customer success team with any questions.